Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'll be giving my review for Catch Me If You Claus, the second film, I believe it was, amongst these 8 films, at least that I watched. This stars Luke McFarlane and Italia Ricci, or Ricci, however she says her last name. So people really seemed to love this one. They really enjoyed it. They thought it was funny. It was getting really high scores, and if it worked for you, that's great. If you found it funny, and all those things, that's great. I'm happy it worked for you. My opinion on this movie is going to be probably an unpopular one. I'm obviously going to have to talk about the whole movie. I can't be vague about this one, so there's going to be spoilers if you've not seen it yet. But Catch Me If You Claus was one that I just did not care for. It did not work for me on much of any level. So basically, the story of this is Luke McFarlane is supposed to be Santa, a version of Santa, and Italia's character Avery works at a news station, and she goes home to get some rest because she's going to anchor the show because the person got sick with laryngitis. And while she's in bed, she hears noises from out in her living room. She comes out. She sees Luke's character, Chris, obviously, because he's playing, he's Santa. And she ends up knocking him out. And she thinks that he is this guy that's going around dressed as Santa, robbing people's houses. So she ties him up, and she tries calling the cops, but the phone's saying that the call can't be done as dialed, which did not make sense to me. But so he's trying to convince her. He's trying to tell her, I'm Santa, and I just dropped the present to the wrong house. We need to take it to the neighbor's house, so on and so forth. And then after they drop the present off, the craziness begins. Now, some people were saying that this felt like it was a higher budget film, like that the cinematography and stuff felt bigger than other, different from most Hallmarks. I didn't really feel that myself personally. I don't know what exactly people were seeing. I did not see that myself personally. Did you feel like it looked any different? No. One thing that really pissed me off in this was, why did Santa become a Chippendale dancer? Because Luke McFarlane was done up to look like a Chippendale dancer. He had this tight beige shirt on that would show off his muscles. His coat...
They made him too hot.
Yeah, his coat was basically not even hardly on him. It just barely came over his shoulders because they wanted to leave the whole chest and stuff open so women could see his chest muscles and stuff. He looked nothing like Santa. I didn't like that. You took away the magic of a Santa to make him look like a Chippendale dancer, just to give the ladies of the Hallmark community something to look at. So that didn't work for me in any way, shape, or form. I did not like the fact that they made him very incompetent. They did not make him a good Santa at all. He had little to no magical powers. I couldn't tell you one magical thing he did. He could barely remember anything, and they're trying to play it off as, well, he's new and all this because because she called him Chris, I think Chris Kringle at the end, and he said, "Oh no, the Kringles were a long time ago. I don't remember what he said. His last Chris something. He had the same first name as Chris Kringle as a Chris Kringle, but his last name was something else, which I thought was stupid. But they just made him a very incompetent Santa. He just wasn't. There was nothing magical about him. There was. We've had so many Santas in these films, and you could have done Luke McFarlane as Santa, just done it the right way. This was not the right, for me, not the right way to do it. You could have still been funny with it and made him feel more natural of a Santa. Um, and like I said already, the phones being messed up was interesting. I don't know if the phones were just out, cell phone towers were just out. I'm not really sure, but he has a phone. He has a cell phone. That's how he communicates with people back at the North Pole. That's how he communicates with his elf. We'll get to that soon. But his phone rings. She breaks his phone, not thinking that she could use it to call the cops. But then he's telling her, we got to take this over to the present to the girl next door because I brought it to the wrong house. I've been messing up a lot tonight, blah, blah, blah. She says, well, let me go get my pants on. Or let me go get some pants on, which she's already dressed in winter pajamas. So she technically did not need to go get pants on. She could have just thrown on a robe or thrown on a coat and just walked it over there. But to me, in my mind, when she doing that, going and getting a whole outfit change and basically getting dressed in normal and day clothes was too on the nose that they're not coming back to that house. That from that point on, they're not going to be back at the house, at least until the end of the movie. And I would not have done that. I would have kept her in her pajamas. I think you could have used that more with the comedy. But I would not have had her changed. I would have kept her like she was. And then they get busted, if you will, by the security guard or whatever he was supposed to be. He pulls up in his
crappy security guard.
Yeah, he pulls up in a golf cart in the middle of the winter and snow, and tries to get them arrested, get backup to come, and somehow, don't ask me how, because when they're in the house, the neighbor's house, Luke can't even pick up a glass of milk to drink. He literally is trying to pick it up like with 2 fingers, even though his hands are tied like this. So he has free range to pick stuff up like this. He's sitting here trying to do it like this. But yet somehow he manages to drive a car. And with his wrist tied up like this, which, okay, I can give, I can sort of, you can do this. But his ankles are tied together. So how is he going from, gas to brake with both feet tied together? So for him to be able to drive that car made no sense to me, personally. They get there, and all of a sudden his feet come loose, so he can finally walk normal, but his wrists are still tied together. So, because I guess apparently she must have tied this better than his ankles. But once they get there, she finally believes that he's Santa because they talk about how the ones robbing the houses were spotted somewhere else. So she knew he couldn't be the burglar. So she finally starts to believe that he's who he says he is. And the next thing they know, they're getting out, they're kind of going back and forth. She's kind of in shock. She don't know what to think at first. And the next thing they know, this guy pulls up because he's out um, uh, looking for them because, or not them particularly. He's looking for the Santa burglars because they stole a important drive from, I think it was a congressman or something.
Yeah.
So he sent out goons to look for him.
Mayor, maybe?
Mayor, congressman, something
mayor.
like that. So he sent out the goons to look for him, and since they were reported as the people, they went and he tracked them down. And so they run into a door of this place where these theatrical people are, and the guy literally, to me, did it not sound like he had to buzz them in after he allowed them to come in? Didn't it sound like he buzzed them
sort
in?
Of, yeah.
But he basically had to let them in. They couldn't get in on their own. And so they're in there for quite a while. And when they go to the door, the guy is already walking their way, which is why they ran into the building. They're in there. The scene kind of continues. They got to be in there for at least 30 minutes. And somehow the guy is just now getting to the door and trying to go in the building, which made no sense whatsoever. He gets through the door on his own. Nobody had to let him in or buzz him in or whatever, which didn't make any sense. They end up helping them escape, but they must have followed them to where they dropped them off at because the goon with a couple other people ended up snatching them, throwing them in the van, taking them to the hideout or whatever you want to call it, and tied them up thinking they were the ones that they had it. And they went in to call it in. Hey, we called them, blah, 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 blah. Well, then it jumps to a scene where a van pulls up and grabs the other two, which I was confused by because you should have just sent out that they shouldn't even be still looking if they thought they already caught them. So why are these two out looking for them, and how did they even spot them? Like, the whole situation didn't make no sense to me. Like, I don't know how they managed to capture the other two to know where they were, unless they just stayed on that road the entire time because they heard over the scanner and just waiting for something to happen. But why were they not called back if they already thought they had caught the thieves anyways? So, to me, that just felt forced, or I guess, or something like that. It didn't sit right with me for that scene. And they get back, and with the other two, they're their actual crooks. They have the drive. Obviously, Luke and Reese get away, and they take the drive with them. They have to follow them, and the real crooks somehow end up back at Reese's car and tries to take it, but they get caught because the car was reported stolen or something, I think. So, but anyway, that's just a small detail. It doesn't really matter. But once they get back to her house, they try. Their plan is to bust them and get it to the news about everything. Somehow, though, the mayor, congressman, governor, whatever he gets there pretty quickly to her house, is trying to stop them, but the former Santa, Luke McFarlane's character's dad, he's there along with an elf, and they stop him, they bust him, and her and Santa end up together, except she don't go to the North Pole. She stays behind and um, basically continues her job there on at the radio or news station, and he does Santa stuff. Um, but to me, this movie just did not work hardly on any level. I didn't think it had the greatest Christmas feel. Like I said, he didn't feel like Santa Claus to me. He felt like a glorified Chippendale dancer. Um, the other Santa, his dad, I guess, he sounded grouchy the whole time. He sounded like he didn't even don't know how he was even Santa to begin with, because he sounded hateful. And then the supposed elf wasn't didn't look like an elf. I mean, of all the we have so many I guess little people, the correct term to use,
I don't know.
that's looking for work. You can't get one to play the elf. I mean, I don't understand why they got somebody that just looks like me or you to play the elf, but it just nothing screamed Christmas enough for me. The chemistry was there, but cinematography wasn't anything overly amazing. I don't see where people were saying, like I said, I don't see where people were saying that it looked higher budget or whatever. I didn't find it funny that much. I think I laughed maybe 2 or 3 times during it. This just did not work for me hardly at all. I ended up giving this a 2 out of 5. Like I said, probably an unpopular opinion on it, but it was a 2 out of 5. It's something that, I don't think I could even shut my brain off and watch again, just because, if I could have laughed and found it funnier, I could have probably rewatched this just as a ridiculous, dumb watch that makes no sense whatsoever, that's somewhat of a Christmas movie, but I didn't find it funny, so I can't even do that with this one. I know my wife didn't like it. She had the same issues I was having the whole time with the film, so unfortunately it wasn't a great one for us. I don't even think you rated them, the ones you watched, so don't know what her score would have been, but probably a half star knowing her. But yeah, 2 out of 5 for Catch Me If You Claus. Like I said, if it worked for you, that's great, but did not work for us. So that is everything. So please comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell, be notified for our videos, and we'll see you all in the next one.